I get it when you're trying to decide whether to drop a few $100s on a new industrial label printer. The fear of ending up with a machine that looks great on paper but never quite fits into the workflow is real. You're probably asking yourself, will this thing actually handle the volume in my warehouse? Or will I spend my afternoons wrestling with connectivity glitches? Will the extra touch screen actually make a difference? Or is it just a gimmick? And most importantly, is the price justified for what I really need? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Zebra ZT23142 D01000FZ is the latest spin on the ZT230 platform, and that upgrade isn't just a new coat of paint. What I found most compelling is how Zebra has taken the solid foundation of the ZT230 and layered in a few practical tweaks that matter when you're printing dozens of labels an hour on a shop floor. The printer sits at 203 dpi and can spit out labels up to 4 inches wide, which puts it squarely in the sweet spot for most warehouse, manufacturing, and field service environments that need barcode, asset, or compliance tags without stepping into the high-resolution, high-cost realm. Let's start with connectivity because that's where a lot of the real-world headaches happen. This model bundles Ethernet, Bluetooth, USB, and a serial port all in one chassis. In my conversations with a few small to mid-sized distribution centers, the Ethernet port was the default choice for their network label stations, but the Bluetooth option turned out to be a lifesaver for a mobile technician who needed to print on the go from a handheld tablet. The serial port is a nod to legacy systems that haven't moved to USB or network yet, which means you can drop this printer into an older workflow without a costly software overhaul. The real benefit here is flexibility. Not every shop has a clean Ethernet run to every workstation, and having a Bluetooth fallback means you can keep the line moving even if the network hiccups. The 4-inch print width is another point that often gets glossed over in spec sheets. In practice, it means you can print everything from short SKU tags to longer compliance stickers without having to swap media or reconfigure the printer on the fly. A client of mine runs a parts relabeling line where they print 2-inch product codes on one side of a label and a 4-inch safety instruction on the other. With the ZT231, they can do that in a single pass, which cuts down on tape changes and eliminates the need for a second printer on the line. If you're the type of operation that only ever prints tiny 1-inch labels, you might be overpaying for the extra width, but for most mid-scale operations, that width gives you a buffer for future label designs. Now, about that touch display. It's a 4.3-inch color screen that feels more like a tablet than a traditional printer panel. The first time I saw someone use it, they were navigating the media settings, adjusting the print speed, and pulling up a maintenance menu all without needing to pull a laptop over. In a busy dock, that kind of on-the-spot control can shave seconds off each label change, which adds up over a shift. The screen also supports on-screen prompts for ribbon changes and printhead cleaning, so you're less likely to miss a maintenance step that could cause a print defect later. If you're used to tweaking settings through a web interface on a PC, the touchscreen might feel like an extra layer, but most users I've spoken with appreciate the tactile feedback when the printer is humming in a noisy environment. Speaking of maintenance, the integrated tier bar is a small but surprisingly useful addition. After a batch of labels prints, the tier bar lets you rip the label strip cleanly without having to manually pull on the media. In high throughput settings, that reduces the risk of tearing the paper unevenly and causing a jam. One of the warehouses I consulted for reported a 15% reduction in paper jams after swapping a standard cutter for a printer with a tier bar, simply because the bar kept the paper tension consistent as it left the print head. So, who should consider the ZT231? If you run a warehouse, a manufacturing floor, or a field service team that prints barcode or compliance labels on a regular basis, say, a few hundred to a few thousand per day, you'll likely see the value. The combination of multiple connectivity options, a generous print width, and a user-friendly touch interface means you can slot this printer into a variety of workflows without a major redesign. It's also a solid pick if you already have other Zebra devices, because the ecosystem tends to share driver packages and management tools, making it easier to roll out centrally. On the flip side, if you're a small retailer that only prints a few dozen price tags a week, the ZT231 is probably overkill. You'd be paying for industrial-grade durability and features you'll never touch. Likewise, if you need ultra-high-resolution graphics, think product packaging with detailed color images, the 203 dpi ceiling will.